actually dominated. He had 3 TDs today. Now, Sanders will go with the ones today, and Monken hasn't announced.
What's good, YouTube? Day 11 of Browns training camp is in the books, and Shedeur Sanders just gave everybody a preview of what's coming against the Bears. He got the first team reps today, he lined up against the number 1 defense, and he walked off that field with 3 touchdowns, 16 completions on 23 attempts. Not a bad stat line for a guy who's still fighting for a starting job in front of the whole country. We're breaking down every throw, every read, and exactly what Todd Monken said about why Shedeur got the ones today. Let's get into it. So let's talk about how we even got here, because there's been a lot of back and forth about who's getting reps with the ones. Todd Monken told the media Saturday that Deshaun Watson was supposed to get those first-team reps today. That changed. Shedeur Sanders went out there with the number 1 offense against the number 1 defense, and Monken had to explain himself after practice. He basically said it comes down to how they're rotating the quarterbacks day to day, and he pushed back on the idea that there's anything deeper going on. His words were that as long as they're still sharing reps, it's a competition, and it wouldn't make sense for that competition to mean anything else. He told reporters that today, as far as he knew, Shedeur was going with the ones, and Deshaun would get the next day. Then Shedeur gets Wednesday with the pads on. Now here's the part that matters for the season. Monken was asked directly if he's decided who starts. He said he has an idea, but he's still working through it day by day. He even said each quarterback is probably going to start a preseason game. That tells you this competition isn't wrapping up anytime soon. They're going to need multiple practices against the Bills to figure out how they want to split things, because you can't give one quarterback all the ones forever in the preseason. Everybody needs run. What I find interesting is Monken basically confirmed that the plan is fluid. It's not locked in. And if you're Shedeur, that's actually the best position to be in, because it means the job is still up for grabs, and every rep he gets, he has to make it count. He can't control how Monken splits the reps. He can't control the depth chart conversations happening behind closed doors. All he can control is what he does when the ball is in his hands. And today, when he got his opportunity, he went out there and balled out. That's the mindset that's been coming from people closest to Shedeur this whole camp. Take what you get, whatever it is, and go perform. And today was a perfect example of him doing exactly that.
Browns head coach Todd Monken spoke out with the media today about why he gave Shedeur Sanders first-team reps, despite telling the media that it was supposed to be Shedeur Sanders reps to Deshaun Watson on Saturday, and noted it's still a QB competition. Now, Sanders will go with the ones today, and Monken hasn't announced a starter ahead of the Browns versus Bears preseason opener. But if you are Shedeur Sanders, you can't control how they play this thing. You just have to make sure you keep dominating when you touch that football field.
Stop right there, because this is exactly where the story flips. Because once Shedeur actually got out there with the ones against the number 1 defense, he didn't just survive, he dominated. The reporting from the ground was clear. He was taken aback a little by the rep situation on Saturday, but at practice, he handled it well. And today, he went out and had arguably his best day of camp. 3 touchdowns against the starting defense. That's not a small sample against backups. That's the real unit. Let's start with the throw that got singled out as one of the best of the entire day. Shedeur rolled to his right, threw the ball across his body, and put it in a spot where only his receiver could make the play. 2 feet inbound. That's the kind of ball placement that either gets caught or sails out of bounds, and there's no in-between. Coaches love that because it protects the quarterback from turning the ball over even when the read isn't perfect. It's part of the reason he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. He puts the ball where only his guy can get it. Then you look at what Monken specifically wanted to see from him, which is getting to the line, making changes at the line of scrimmage, and getting the ball snapped on time. Multiple reps showed him working through his cadence, reading the defense before the snap, and adjusting the play. That's not flash. That's quarterback development. That's the stuff that actually translates to Sundays. From there, he started spreading it around. A completion on an out route working through his progression, a play-action shot down the field, a rollout completion on a quick out. This wasn't one guy getting fed the ball over and over. He was moving through his reads, finding different targets, and delivering accurate throws no matter where the play took him. And then the touchdowns started stacking up. In red zone work, he looked off a defender completely, staring one direction like he's going to a different receiver, then coming back at the last second to hit his actual target in the end zone. That's veteran-level deception from a guy who's still fighting for a starting job. Then another touchdown to the back corner of the end zone on a play where the ball placement was, again, exactly where it needed to be. 3 touchdowns, 16 of 23 against the number 1 defense. On a day where the story going in was supposed to be about rep controversy, instead, the story became about performance.
When they're not, then they get more of a closer look. So you guys have to bear with me on that. Shedeur Sanders to Harold Fanning Jr. for a TD in 11-11 red zone work. Mind you guys, Shedeur Sanders did an amazing job looking off the defender. Look how he's looking to the left as if he's throwing it to Denzel Boston, and then comes back and hit Harold Fanning. Look at that. I'm going to slow this video down so you guys can see that. Look off, and then at the last second hooks up with Harold Fanning. Right here is a touchdown play to Denzel Boston in the back of the end zone.
Now let's put that next to what the other quarterback did with his reps. Deshaun Watson worked with the second unit today and had a solid day of his own. 15 of 22, 2 touchdowns. That's a good day of work by any measure, and nobody's trying to take that away from him. He's coming back from 2 Achilles tears, he's got $230 million fully guaranteed behind him, and he's clearly still capable of moving the ball efficiently even against a scout-look defense. But here's the side-by-side. Shedeur went against the ones and had 3 touchdowns on 16 of 23. Watson went against the twos and had 2 touchdowns on 15 of 22. Better completion rate for Shedeur, more touchdowns for Shedeur, and he did it against the tougher matchup. That's the stat line that's going to get people talking, and it's the reason this whole quarterback competition conversation isn't going away anytime soon. Now, let's be real about the parts of the day that weren't perfect, because the full breakdown means covering everything. The 2-minute drill did not go well for either quarterback. Shedeur's unit had a short completion, then 3 straight pre-snap penalties in a row. The last one a false start on the offensive line that got the whole group sent off the field. Watson's second unit had the same issue on their 2-minute drill, a couple of penalties of their own, including a false start, plus a sack. Neither 2-minute drill picked up a single first down. None of that is really on the quarterback play. Shedeur can't control his linemen jumping early. He also had a couple drops that weren't his fault. One target dropped what looked like a really well-thrown ball on a route to the sideline, close enough that some people even want to argue whether it was a good throw or a drop. From a receiver's perspective, once the ball's in your hands in that situation, that's on you to bring in, especially when everybody in that room is fighting for a roster spot. So the full picture of the day looks like this. Shedeur processed the offense well, hit multiple different receivers, showed off arm talent and ball placement, and posted the best raw numbers of any quarterback in the building. The stuff that needs cleaning up, penalties and drops, is a team issue, not a Shedeur issue specifically, and it showed up for both quarterbacks equally. If Cleveland wants to actually win football games against the Bears and beyond, that's the part that has to get fixed fast, because you can't have 3 procedural penalties end a 2-minute drill in the regular season.
2-minute drill with Shedeur Sanders in the number 1 offense versus the number 1 defense. Shedeur Sanders had a short completion to Jerry Jeudy. You guys just saw that. What followed was 3 straight pre-snap penalties for the offense. The last, a Spencer Fano false start. Todd Monken sent the number 1 offense off the field. Now, a lot of this has nothing to do with Shedeur Sanders.
This was the best statistical day of camp for either quarterback, and it belonged to Shedeur. Let's lay out the full tracker from the day, because the numbers tell the story better than anybody's opinion can. Shedeur Sanders went 16 of 23 with 3 touchdowns against the first-team defense. Deshaun Watson went 15 of 22 with 2 touchdowns against the second-team defense. Dillon Gabriel went 5 of 8, and the rookie in the room didn't see any pass attempts on the day. Shedeur had the better day by the numbers, and he did it against the tougher assignment. That's not opinion, that's just what happened on the field. Nobody's trying to diminish what Watson did. 15 of 22 with 2 scores is a solid day for a guy who missed the entire 2025 season with injury. But when you're comparing 2 quarterbacks in an open competition, the matchup difficulty matters, and Shedeur beat the tougher one statistically. What stands out most watching the tape is how he handled everything around the football. The line of scrimmage adjustments Monken specifically asked to see, he delivered on those. The ball placement on tough throws across his body, he delivered on that too. The look-off in the red zone before finding his actual target. That's advanced quarterback play that a lot of veterans still don't do consistently. None of that shows up in a box score, but it's exactly what evaluators are watching for when they decide who takes the job long-term. The stuff that needs work isn't really on him individually. It's drops from his receivers in a room that's stacked with guys fighting for the final 53-man roster, and it's penalties up front that stop drives before they had a chance to develop. Those are fixable problems, and they're the kind of thing that gets cleaned up as camp goes on and as the pads come on more regularly. What isn't fixable overnight is arm talent, ball placement, and processing speed, and Shedeur showed all 3 today against the defense that actually matters. Here's the bigger picture heading into the Bears game. Monken still hasn't named a starter. He said multiple times that each quarterback is probably going to get a start in the preseason. That means this competition is going to keep playing out in real games where everybody can see it, not just in padded practice reps behind closed doors at team facilities. Shedeur just gave the coaching staff and everybody watching a pretty clear answer to the question of what he does when he gets his shot with the starters. He goes and delivers 3 touchdowns.
Here's how each quarterback performed in team drills. Shedeur Sanders took all of the first-team reps per ESPN Cleveland. So as we take a look at the QB tracker, Shedeur Sanders 16 of 23, 3 TDs. Deshaun Watson 15 of 22, 2 TDs. Dylan Gabriel 5 of 8, and Green 0 of 0. Shedeur Sanders had the better day. He went against the first-team defense. He had the most touchdowns. Not to diminish.
So here's the question I want you to sit with for a second. If you're Todd Monken and you've got one quarterback going 16 of 23 with 3 touchdowns against your own starting defense, how long can you actually wait to make a decision? He's already said he has a feel for it, but he's still working through it, and he's already said each guy is likely to start a preseason game. That tells you the plan right now is to let this play out publicly, game by game, instead of naming a guy off of training camp reps alone. That's fair. That's how a lot of real competitions get decided, especially with a guy like Watson still working back from a major injury and needing live snaps to prove he's all the way back. But every single day Shedeur puts up numbers like this, 16 of 23, 3 touchdowns, clean pocket decisions, look-offs in the red zone, it gets harder and harder to justify not giving him the keys. The penalties and the drops are real, and they need to get fixed before the regular season, but that's a full offense problem, not a quarterback problem. Both units had it today. What separates the 2 quarterbacks right now, at least based on today's tape, is that one of them turned his opportunity into 3 touchdowns against the number 1 defense, 16 of 23. That's the kind of day that puts pressure on a coaching staff to make a decision, whether they're ready to or not. Now, I want to hear from you. Based on today's numbers, do you think Shedeur should be the guy starting against the Bears, or do you think Monken sticks with the plan and rotates everybody through preseason games no matter what the practice tape says? Drop it in the comments and let me know where you stand. Smash like and subscribe.